शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। स्वरूपानुसंधानम। Before we enter the text proper, I have something more to say. What I have to say is not over yet. We have seen the meaning of the word Swarupa. The Atma has two Rupas, Sopadhika Rupa and Nirupadhika Rupa. Nirupadhika Rupa is its own Rupa. Therefore, it is called Swarupa, own nature. Now, let us understand the meaning of the word, of the other part of the name, Anusandhanam. What is Anusandhanam? Anusandhanam has many meanings like analysis, inquiry, etc. If you look into the dictionary, when we talk about Vedanta, Anusandhanam refers to Nididhyasanam. The word Anusandhanam is a composite of three parts. Anu Samdhana. Anu, Sam and Dhana. Dha plus Lyut. Anu is a prefix which generally means after. Nididhyasana is done after Shravana and Manana. Therefore, Anu means Shravana Manane Anu. After Shravana and Manana. Some means properly. There is a Yoga Sutra. Satu dirghakala nairantarya satkara sevito dridha bhumihi. Nididhyasana becomes effective. Nididhyasana bears fruit when it is done properly. What is involved in properly? Number one, dirghakala. Very long time. You cannot expect the result in 3 days or 5 days or even 25 days. It's a prolonged process. Months and years. Then you start seeing the result. Dirghakala. Nairantarya. And it should be done continuously, consistently, not once in a while. Regularly. And satkara, it should be done with the commitment. Nididhyasanam should be one's priority. That is proper nididhyasana. It is implied by some. Anu plus some. And dhanam. Dhanam means dharanam. Focusing. Abiding. Abiding in the Swarupa. Properly. After Shravana and Manana. The deliberate practice of abidance in the Swarupa after Shravana and Manana is Nididhyasana. Therefore, the word Swarupanusandhanam itself indicates that the text is on Nididhyasana. This text is a Nididhyasana Pradhana text. Predominantly meant for Nididhyasana. Among Prakarana Granthas, some are Shravana predominant, Shravana Pradhana, whereas some are Manana Pradhana, predominantly Manana. They give a lot of reasoning to establish Advaita, like Advaita Siddhi. Manana Pradhana text. Whereas this is a Nididhyasana Pradhana text. If you look into the text, each verse, each of the 8 verses ends with Param Brahma Nityam Tadevahamasmi. Aham Brahma Asmi. I am Brahman. If you remember what I said in Kaivalyopanishad, such statements are called Anubhava Vakya. And the Anubhava Vakya is used for Anusandhana, for Nididhyasana. Therefore, this text is meant for Nididhyasana. One can memorize the verses and meditate on them. We have seen many such verses in Kaivalyopanishad. The second part of Kaivalyopanishad was Anubhava Vakya. And similarly, even this text is full of Anubhava Vakya. Somebody asked me, why you choose this text after Kaivalyopanishad? They might have got the answer now. The Anubhava Vakya is meant for Anusandhana, for contemplation, for Nididhyasana. Though it is meant for Nididhyasana, though it primarily deals with Nididhyasana, the text condenses the teaching of Vedanta in a nutshell. All aspects of Vedanta are covered in a nutshell. Therefore, in a way, this is a complete text. A complete text of Vedanta. What makes it a complete text? To be a complete text, it should discuss 3 things. Number 1, Jnana Sadhanam. The means for Jnana. How to get Atma Jnana. Jnana Sadhanam. Number 2, Jnana Vishayaha. It should deal with the subject matter of Atma Jnana. Which is nothing but Jiva Brahma Aikya. The unity of Jiva and Brahman. And the third one, Jnana Phalam. The result of knowledge. If these three are discussed, it makes the discussion of Vedanta complete. And all these three are discussed in a nutshell. They are all included. Therefore, this verse condenses Vedanta in just 8 verses. That is why it is called Ashtakam, a collection of 8 verses. With this introduction, we will enter the text proper, because many people are waiting for that. Tapo yajna danadibhih shuddha buddhihi virakto nrpadeh pade tuchha buddhya परित्यज्य सर्वं यदाप्नोति तत्त्वं परं ब्रह्म नित्यन्तदेवाहमस्मि. The first verse. To understand Vedanta, one has to be an adhikari. Adhikari means an eligible candidate for the study of Vedanta. A qualified candidate is called adhikari. Adhikari does not mean a powerful person, as we generally think. In the general usage, adhikari means an officer or any powerful person. A person in a powerful position is generally called adhikari. But it is not so here. Adhikari is a qualified person. And the status of being qualified is called adhikaritva. You should be an adhikari. That means you should have adhikaritva. If you don't have adhikaritva, Vedanta does not work. Even after 50 years, sometimes it may not work. Why? No adhikaritva. But if there is adequate adhikaritva, Vedanta starts working from day one. Therefore, adhikaritva is very important. Adhikaritva is also called patrata. Patra means a vessel. If you have to receive any liquid, you need to have a patra. Without patra, you cannot receive a liquid. Suppose you try to receive water on your palm, it won't receive it. It will flow down. Even if the other person pours liters of water, not a drop of water will remain on the palm. It will flow down. You need a proper vessel without a hole. Then you can receive the liquid and you can carry the liquid. Likewise, even we should be patra for this knowledge. The eligible receiver not only receive, you also retain it. Just like a vessel receives and retains water, one should be capable of receiving and retaining the knowledge. Then he is patra. He has patrata. The author discusses may not be the right word, because he does not elaborate. He just mentions, just states how one can become an adhikari. The way to become an adhikari. There are certain disciplines. In fact, to become an adhikari, you need some spiritual disciplines. But only after becoming an adhikari, you can understand Vedanta. Only after becoming an adhikari, you are truly eligible for Vedanta. But to become an adhikari, you need spiritual discipline. Where to find it? You cannot find it in Vedanta, because Vedanta says first you become an adhikari, then you come to Vedanta. Then where to seek it? Where is it told? It is revealed in Veda Purva, even before Vedanta. In Karma Kanda of the Vedas, even before Vedanta begins, the disciplines, the spiritual practices to become an adhikari are mentioned. What are they? We can enumerate 4 of them. Number 1, Adhyayanam. Number 2, Yajnam. Number 3, Danam. Number 4, tapas. Adhyayanam, yajnam, danam, tapas. You should not say tapam, tapas. Adhyayanam means studying the Shastra. We have 3 types of Shastras. The Shastras can be classified into 3 types. The first one is a Dharma Shastra. It talks about dharma, the values, the duties. Studying Dharma Shastra, one gets the knowledge of dharma, what I should do, what I should not do. For example, I should not tell lies, I should do dana, I should do yajna, whatever. You get the knowledge of dharma. And a constant study of Dharma Shastra, a regular study of Dharma Shastra keeps us reminding the values. When we are reminded of the values, it is easy to remain in conformity with the values. Only when we remind ourselves again and again, the value remains with us. Otherwise, there is a chance of forgetting. There is a chance of being careless. That is why one should constantly study Dharma Shastra. There are many books which gives us dharma. The best book is Mahabharatam. There is a superstition that you should not keep Mahabharatam at home. If one should not keep Mahabharatam at home, why did Vyasa write it? It is meant for everyone. To understand Dharma and to remind us constantly of Dharma. There are beautiful discussions on what is right and what is wrong. And it has 1 lakh verses, very voluminous. Therefore, one cannot finish in a few days. One has to keep reading regularly to finish it in a few years. And this ensures that you are constantly in touch with the values. This ensures that you are reminded of the values constantly. So Dharma Shastra, study of Dharma Shastra, regular study of Dharma Shastra contributes to Chitta Shuddhi. Then Bhakti Shastra. There are many Bhakti Shastras, literatures that invoke Bhakti, like Bhagavatam, like Ramayana, they invoke Bhakti. One can cultivate Bhakti by studying the Bhakti Shastra, by reading the Bhakti Shastra. If you read Bhagavatam, you will get Bhakti. Nobody can escape from getting Bhakti on reading Bhagavatam. And Bhakti is establishing a relationship with the Bhagavan. You establish a relation with the Bhagavan by studying Bhakti Shastra. Most of the Bhagavata Katha or Ramayana Katha, they are all mainly on Bhakti Shastra. If you listen to the Katha, it is also a form of studying Bhakti Shastra. And the third one is a Jnana Shastra. Vedanta is a Jnana Shastra because it is all about Atma Jnana. Jnana Shastra will efficiently work when you have Chitta Shuddhi, when you have Adhikaritva. But this is before having Adhikaritva. We are discussing before Adhikaritva. As a means for Adhikaritva, will Jnana Shastra serve? Will the study of Jnana Shastra serve as a means to become an Adhikari? The answer is yes. Even the study of Jnana Shastra will help in getting Adhikaritva. How? Let me give an example. Suppose there is a log of wood. If it has to catch fire, it has to be fully dry. Then it catches fire. When you hold it near a flame, it catches fire. But suppose the log is a little wet. There is some moisture in the log. What will happen if you hold it on a flame? Initially, it will not catch fire. But what happens? All the moisture content goes away. The log dries up because of the fire. And once it becomes dry, it catches fire. Same thing can be told about Jnana Shastra also. Without a Chitta Shuddhi, if someone listens to Vedanta, it is like holding a wet log on fire. Exposing a wet log on fire. You get Chitta Shuddhi. All impurities go away in due course of time. And when there is Chitta Shuddhi, the Vedanta starts working. You start getting the Jnana, and the Jnana is fire. Jnanagnihi. Therefore, even without a Chitta Shuddhi, if you listen to Vedanta, it will slowly produce Chitta Shuddhi. Therefore, don't think you don't have adhikaritva and so postpone Vedanta. It is not a good idea. Listen to Vedanta even if you think you don't have enough adhikaritva. So, all the three Shastras contribute to Chitta Shuddhi. Study of all the three Shastras contribute to Chitta Shuddhi. That is Adhyayanam. Then Yajnam, the second means Yajnam. Yajna is derived from a Sanskrit root Yaja. Yaja Deva Puja Sangati Karana Daneshu. The root Yaja has three meanings. Number one, Deva Puja. Number two, Deva Sangati Karana. And number three, Deva Dana. Let us take the second meaning first. Yaja Deva Sangati Karana. Yaja means to relate to Ishvara. Deva Sangati Karana. Relating to Ishvara. Establishing a connection with the Ishvara. And to establish a connection with the Ishvara, you need some discipline. Some spiritual discipline that is called yajna. And it can be twofold. Deva Puja or Deva Dana. Deva Puja, worshipping Ishvara, worshipping the Deva. There is a physical worship. All of you have seen with the dhupa, deepa, naivedya, arati, nirajanam, flowers. You worship the Deva. It is a kayika, a physical mode of worship. Then there is a Vachika way of worship, verbal worship, in the form of chanting. Chanting of Vishnu Sahasranama or chanting of any mantra, even mantra japa, japa yajna is a mode of verbal worship. Then there is manasa worship, manasa puja, mental worship. Meditating on Ishvara, visualizing a puja of Ishvara. All these are mental worship. Manasa puja. All these are yajna. Deva puja. And Deva Danam. Another way of connecting to Ishvara. Deva Danam. Offering oblation to Devata in the form of a fire ritual. You offer various things into the fire. And the fire is the carrier of what you offer. You don't offer to the fire. You offer to Devata. The fire carries it to the Devata. Through the fire, you offer it to the Devata. Therefore, fire is called Hutavaha. Hutam Vahati. It carries the Huta. The offering. So, Deva Puja and Deva Dana, they are all yajna. Then the third discipline, Danam, giving. All forms of contribution is a Danam. In our culture, the main form of Danam was to give to a person who has Vidya and Tapas. Vidya Tapo Yuktaha Brahmanaha. A Brahmana who has Vidya, who has learning of any Shastra, and he has Tapas. He leads a simple life. That kind of a person is a deserving person to receive the dana according to the tradition. A person with learning and tapas. People can easily understand that he will not waste away the money. He will not misuse the money. And giving to him will be useful in preserving the knowledge. preserving the tradition of learning, people understood this. That is why they used to give to a person who has vidya and tapas, who has the knowledge of the Shastra, who has dedicated his life to study any discipline of the Shastra, maybe Vedas, maybe Vyakarana, or any other discipline. Such people cannot earn money on their own. So if they have to devote their life for the learning, they have to be helped by the society. And if they have to run a Gurukulam, teach the knowledge, then also they need support from the society. And they were the ones who deserved dana. In fact, in the traditional books, you will not find giving to the beggar as a dana or giving to any poor man as a dana, because it was the duty of the king to ensure that all poor men are taken care of. And even if you do such things, it is not considered dana. It is considered another form of charitable work called purta karma. That is how the traditional works describe the charities. It is purta karma. All reaching out activities. They are generally not called dana. I remember an incident when I was a child. They conducted a yaga in our family. And when they conducted a yaga, they gave dana. And dana was given to Brahmanas who had vidya and tapas. Vidya tapoyukta Brahmana. Then I was skeptical in those days. And I asked, why do you give to these people? Why don't you give it to the beggar? The poor man who comes and asks for money. Why don't you give dana to him? Then one of my aunts said, if you give it to them, it is not called dana. Because dana is for vidya tapoyukta Brahmana. Then I asked, should we not give anything to the beggar? Then she said, no, You should give to the beggar also. You should give to any needy person. If you have money, you should give it to the needy people. But it is not called dana. Then what is it called? She said dharma. It is a dharma. With her little knowledge, she said, I didn't understand in those days. But later, when I studied the Shastra, I understood. It is called Purta Karma. It is another charitable activity. That is why in Karnataka or in Andhra Pradesh, they don't ask, give me dana, the beggars. They will say, give me dharma. Dharma kodi, dharma kodi. I don't know whether you have observed this. Dharma kodi, dharma kodi. What does it mean? It means give us, do your part of dharma. So it is not the only dharma. It's another aspect of dharma called purta karma. But it is not called dana. They know it. The beggars know this. That is why they don't say dana kodi. They will say dharma kodi. Dharmam chayandi. Not danam chayandi. So, danam and tapas. Tapas is all austerities. Like fasting, Ekadashi Upavasa, fasting on Ekadashi, fasting on Shivaratri. It is a tapas. Or using simple cloths is a tapas. Not using bed, not using mattress is a tapas. Not wearing chappals is a tapas. Austerity. But all these tapas are difficult to perform for people like us. In Kali Yuga, we depend on medicine for our livelihood. In other yugas, they say it was asthigata prana. The life dependent on bones. That means if the bones are intact, the person will remain alive. Even if flesh and blood, everything is gone. Even if the person doesn't get food for 100 years, he will survive if his bones are intact. That kind of a life is called asthigata prana. Perhaps it existed before in Dwapara Yuga or in Krita Yuga or Treta Yuga. I don't know. In Kali Yuga, it is annagata prana. Life depends on food. If you don't eat food for many days, you cannot survive. That is why we need food. But now, in 20th and 21st century, it is not even annagata prana. It is aushadhagata prana. We live on medicines. Without medicine, many of us cannot live. Every day, we have to gulp some medicines. In such condition, it is not possible to do many austerities. Even fasting for one day is difficult for many of us. Therefore, the physical austerities are not suggestible for many, at least in this group. Then what is tapas? There are even more difficult austerities. There are even more difficult tapas that we are supposed to perform. And this tapas is to stick to the values, to adhere to the values like truthfulness, non-violence, forgiveness. All these are tapas. Satyam, satyam tapaha. It is easy to fast for 10 days for some people. But to stick to truth, even during challenging situation, is not easy. Perhaps fasting for 10 days is easier than speaking truth. Sticking to truth, not compromising with the truth and other values like compassion, etc. It is the greatest form of tapas. Not compromising with the values of the Shastra, not compromising with the values of Dharma, even under difficult circumstances, is the greatest form of tapas. So these are the 4 disciplines: Adhyayana, Yajna, Dana, Tapas. They lead to Adhikaritva. By producing Chitta Shuddhi, by producing purification of mind. Therefore, the author says, Tapo yajna danadibhihi shuddha buddhihi. Tapaha, yajna, yajnam, yajnaha, and dana. Yajnaha, not yajnam, it is yajnaha. Pullinga. Yajno vai Vishnu. And dana. Adi. There is an Adi. Adi includes Adhyayana also. How do you know these 4? There is a statement in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Tametam vedanuvachanena brahmana vividishanti यज्ञेन दानेन तपसा अनाशकेन. So this Brihadaranyaka statement is the basis of this word tapoyajnadanadibhihi shuddha buddhihi. That is why we can understand Adi means Adhyayana. It is told in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So Shuddha Buddhihi. A Shuddha Buddhi is an Adhikari. We will discuss Adhikari further in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Yeah. Namaste, namaste. Yeah. Namaste, yeah. Om. Namaste, yeah. Namaste, yeah. Namaste, yeah. Namaste. Namaste, yeah. Yeah. Namaste. Yeah.